The thing I'm excited to make is crepes because I haven't made crepes in such a long time, and I think the kids really love it. And usually, the reason why we don't make crepes is literally because we don't have any strawberries. And I guess Jessica said that they're in season. I don't know where they are in season because it's freezing here. But I guess citrus is in season right now. So I'm going to go ahead and start with using my computer because I don't know what I'm doing and how to make crepes straight away on my own, which is funny because I've been making them for years. So first things first. First things first is you need to wash your wash your hands. Don't have dirty ass hands when you're cooking. But we're nowhere close to that part yet. First things first is get a bowl, and we're going to make this a very simple recipe. I would even say first thing you can do outside of that, we're going to put this right here where it does not belong. And first thing I guess I'm going to do is look at ChatGPT. No, I'm going to get my strawberries together. I'm going to get this ready. It's very simple. So my husband had already cut a bunch of strawberries, but I think that's all I'm gonna use whatever he's cut just because it's easiest. This little guy, this $45 little thing here. Wash my hands and then chop these up really quickly just to get these going. So the idea is that you make the strawberries super juicy by adding a bunch of sugar. And it's a very simple process. Like crepes are not hard to make. I think people get overwhelmed by them, and it can be overwhelming, but it's like six ingredients, maybe less. So for me, it makes sense to just, sorry, don't fit here. It makes sense to just make crepes because the kids love them, and it's something that I can do easily. So we start by chopping up the strawberries, and we're going to go back into the bowl, and then we'll put a bunch of sugar on them. If you've never made crepes before, please do not think that it's going to be overwhelming. It's not. It's literally just a few ingredients. So I think I've said that enough times now to where you might understand. It's really not overwhelming. So I'm going to grab these. This is just, like I said, these were already cleaned. These are already chopped up a little bit. I'm stealing my husband's work because I'm just trying to make this as quick as possible. The kids were supposed to eat like hours ago. And I decided to talk to my grandma on the phone and just hang out. I need to call my mother and yell at her for telling her about my new stove that I wanted to tell her about. But besides that, we're good. So again, just chopping this up. Hey, if you guys are new here, just make sure you hit the subscribe button. You can see a lot of my cooking videos. This is not how I prefer to chop, but this is the knife I grabbed, and until I have the holder up, I'm just grabbing whatever knife I can. So I've been doing a lot of little renovations, a lot of little updates, and appliance decorating, different things like that. So trying to make our space work a little bit better, and some of that looks like getting a knife holder because I don't really like the knife holder that we had before. It's that big giant wooden block, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. Can I say that here? Can I swear on this app? Sorry, I'm a, what is that? What do they call that? A refugee, a TikTok refugee. This is the stuff I would do on TikTok, and until we know for sure that it's going to be saved from a ban, it just makes sense for me to start making a community here. My favorite part of being on TikTok is literally the community aspect. So please put comments. Hey, how's it going? Please, like, share, follow, do all the things. I'm on all the platforms at honestandadvice.com. But most importantly, let's keep making these crepes. So for those of you who are just logging on and watching, this is just strawberries. We do the strawberries for the inside of the crepe. You can make savory crepes. You can do anything you want, really, with a crepe. It's just the same base. And that's the one cool thing about making crepes is that they're really cool to use, to just make whatever you want. So this is a good amount of strawberries. I think I actually might need more, but for the time being, and because I'm not going to be eating this, I think we'll have enough. We'll have enough. So all of these strawberries are going to go into this bowl back in here. Again, these were cleaned, washed, and ready to go. I stole them from my husband. And after that, we're going to throw a little bit of sugar on top. I'm going to mix it up, and that'll be that. Like, that's just going to go straight back into the refrigerator. I'm not using soap on my hands because I don't need to, because it's just strawberry juice. So that's that. I have my sugar right here. I'm going to go through and add this really quickly. And then from there, we'll start working on the crepes pretty quick. So like I said, the crepes are a really simple recipe. It's one of those recipes that I got from ChatGPT, and ChatGPT has learned a lot of my habits and things that I like, things I'm good at, things I prefer and don't in terms of like flavor complexities and things like that. So I think that it'll give me the recipe I need. Most recipes are pretty similar when it comes to crepe making, and I am just trying to, like I said, I'm just trying to get this done as quickly as possible. So my other goal is to make rigatoni pasta. So I don't know if I have any rigatoni, and that would actually stop me from making it, but I could easily make something else with it. I think I'm down on my pasta. I think I'm gonna have to make some pasta. So anyway, let's go ahead with this. So the recipe calls for 1 cup of all-purpose flour. So I'm going to start with that. This is a smaller bowl. It probably could be bigger. Um, I don't know. So I do not have my regular measuring cup. It's probably in the dishwasher. So I'm going to use this 1.5 scoop, and I'm going to take out some. So this is a 1.5, but it's supposed to be 1 cup of flour. We need 2 large eggs. Oh gosh, I hope I have enough milk. Let's see. 1.5 cups of milk. Oh, milk or dairy free works. So if I don't have enough, this is 1.5, so it works. There we go, 1.5. Got very little bit of milk left. Be good for coffee, maybe. 2 eggs. You can make your own whipped cream by using heavy cream. I'm not going to. And now, if you notice, I'm doing this all on a cutting board because I prefer not to make my entire countertop dirty, especially when I'm using eggs, because it's just more of a hassle later on. So it also gives me a chance to kind of throw everything to the side and just dump it all out at the same time. So when I'm cleaning, it's a lot easier for cleanup. I don't have to do too much. Now, for washing my hands for the 15,000th time, I will be using soap when it comes to eggs because I'm a real spaz about it. So we have 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 2 large eggs, 1.5 cups of milk, 2 tablespoons of melted butter or neutral oil or dairy-free, 1 tablespoon of sugar, optional for sweet crepes, which is what we're doing. So I'm just going to eyeball it. 1 tablespoon or 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, optional for sweet crepes. Again, I'll be doing that. Those are very much the recipe for like French toast here, I think, except a lot heavier on the milk and flour. But these other pieces are very much what I use in terms of French toast, which is exactly the reason why these things are literally just on my countertop right now. So that's that. A pinch of salt. We have a pinch of salt right here. I'm using pink salt. It's a big pinch. And after that, probably closer to a quarter of a tablespoon or a teaspoon, pinch of salt. That's it. That's it. That's it. So from there, I'm going to put this away. I do need to put the butter, and I'll do that right now. But I usually just melt it straight away inside the microwave. So I'll do that real quick. And it called for a teaspoon. I actually forgot how much butter it called for, but it doesn't matter. So I'm going to use what I have. So you ever see a little trick? Just get it wrapped around there. So this will go into the microwave for like 2 seconds. And then after that, I will throw it in here. In the meantime, while this is in the microwave, I'm going to be mixing this up. I prefer to use a whisk if you can find one. I can't find one, so we're going to use whatever I can find. And I don't know what that's going to be. That's a fork, I guess. Yeah, a fork. Mix all this up. You don't want clumps. That's weird. Clumps are weird. So that's the one thing you have to be careful with when adding flour. You don't want clumpiness. So I should have enough milk here. Oh, this made no dent, so I'm going to put that back in. Probably just made it soft. Just going ahead and stirring this up as quickly as possible. And from there, it should be ready pretty quickly. Now again, I prefer to use a whisk. You don't need to use a blender. You can use a blender if you wanted to pour all this batter into a blender to make it a very thin version, you could. Like that's probably the best way to do this batter, but I prefer to just do whatever I can, and I don't really want to bring out a mixer or anything like that. This is a very nice batter. It's coming together really nicely. Just keep stirring to get out all of those lumps and get out all of that flour that's kind of made a clump. So the butter is not completely melted. So I want to make sure that I have this as melted as possible. I'm probably going to get a rubber spatula just to make sure I'm getting all the edges. But this is looking pretty good. Like, this is a very simple recipe. Like I said, crepes are very easy to make. It doesn't take much, but it does take a little bit of time. So this is not something that you're used to doing in the morning. It will be a little bit cumbersome at first, but then, then it gets better and it's easy. And then you're just used to doing it. So for me, like, it's used to be one of those things that I just didn't make time for because it just didn't seem reasonable to spend all this time making a crepe. But it really isn't that bad. It's not bad at all. So I keep some of my stuff. So I'm gonna go through a scrape sure we don't have any clumps because I don't want clumpy, gross flour showing up at the end. And you also want to make sure your stuff is mixed really well just because it should be cohesive, should be mixed. Cohesive, that's probably not the right word for that. But hey, if you're new here, please follow along. I'm making crepes right now. I do a lot of content about a lot of different things. What am I? Migration, transfer, refugee from TikTok. So this is a new space for me to really just dig my heels into and set up shop in terms of building community. I think it's important to be able to build community in this way, and food is a thing that is like the great unifier. This is the thing that brings people together the most, and that is what I'm trying to do here. So let's see. I think we're good. I think we're very good. And we're going to move over to the stove. So I need to get my stove prepped. I'm going to do that right now. I have butter, and I'm using a griddle or comal. I prefer to call it a comal. This is a green pan. If you have one of these, it works best for this, for making crepes. That's what I prefer to use it for. And of course, tortillas. So I need to clean my stove. Let's see. Sorry, I got a new stove, so I'm still just learning how to use it. And it's new, so it's different. So as far as crepe stuff goes, I will say I think the best way to do this is to use a big ladle. I wish I had a wooden ladle. I can't believe I don't have a wooden ladle. It's weird. This is a good size to do anything with, in terms of like scooping and then letting it all go all over the place. So that is what I'm going to be doing. I'll be doing that. And there are still some pockets, I think, of flour, but that'll be fine. So I'm going to.
Why can't I see anything?
I don't know.
You did something.
I did not do anything. And I'm going to be really upset if you're on my Bluetooth right now. There. Go on.
But whenever I did that.
Try it again.
I can't hear anything.
Come here. Sorry, we're getting an iPad set up here. Why do you have it like that? Why is this on headphones? Who has headphones?
I don't know.
Talk to Noah. He's the one who has. Hey, don't go. Sorry, guys. In the middle of a live. Wired connection. Go talk to your brother. Dad's PS5, AirPlay. I don't know what that is. So you need to go talk to Noah because it's connected to something. Hopefully not me. I hope it's not connected to me. That would stink. Okay, so I have my comal going right now, and it should be good. It's nice and warm. I'm going to go ahead, wash my hands because I touched a dirty ass iPad. And then we're going to just go through with the crepes. It'll be fast. So crepes do not take very long. I wish I had a better camera set up for you, but I think I'm just going to try and push you guys over here. So that way you have that set up. Now, the other thing I said I was going to make was rigatoni, but I don't have much masticholi or anything else, so I think I'm just going to make masticholi with it. If you've never had masticholi, it's just literally a pasta sauce, and that's it. That's all it is. So we're going to bring you here. We're going to point you down, and then we're going to set it and forget it. So I'm going to start with a very small amount of butter. Very small amount of butter. And then from there, I'm literally just going to scoop. Now you can use a cup, or you can use whatever you want. But what I'm doing is this. That should be a good size crepe for one of my kids. And usually I prefer to do that. Mix it around a little bit. You want these as thin as possible. They don't need to be perfect. That's the one thing you need to know. They do not need to be perfect. Perfect, just like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So I do think there might be a little bit too much flour in there. I'm going to see how it cooks off, and then we'll go from there to decide whether or not we need to continue mixing it, because I don't want this to have pockets of flour. So you can see around the edges, it's getting a little bit darker, and that around the edges thing is going to be the thing that makes you understand, or that you'll be able to tell that your crepe is done. Now, I don't have a big spatula, so I'm using what I have, but you can see how beautiful. Now, you can't smell this, but it smells amazing, and I really like it. So this is a quick way to make something super special for people you love. This is something that I do literally for, because I love my kids only. If it was just me, I probably would never make a crepe again, because I don't care. I mean, they're good, but it's just not amazing. So I just go back and forth, and I will flip it a few times. Liken it to a tortilla or something like that. You can just flip it, pay attention. It's going to get darker. This one is a good size. It looks good. It looks like it's cooking well. I hope it is. And then there's a decent, butter situation going on here. My flame is probably about medium. It's not too high. It's not really low. I don't need it to be really low. This is just a very simple way to do this. So you can see this side is a lot more cooked now. And as it cooks, it's going to form these little like pockets of extra cooked, which means that those extra cooked parts are going to become a little bit more brown. And when they brown a lot more than this, you're going to start to see how they come together. Now, some people will make this a little bit crispier. Don't worry about it being crispy if it ends up being crispy at all. What you can do is literally just put it between other crepes as you're building your stack of crepes, and it'll get softer and kind of steam with the other guys. So what I'll do is I'll end up putting a plate here, and then we'll put the crepes on top of each other. You can see right here, there are some little brown edges right here, some little brown spots. You don't need this thing to be completely cooked all the way in terms of like a crispy, exterior. It'll cook. It's cooking on its own. It'll cook. As it steams with the other ones, it'll cook, and everything will be okay. And I just realized right at this second that I never, ever put the butter in. So I'm going to go ahead and add the butter right now, because that was just cooling down. I'm going to mix that real quick, and that should help with making sure that this is kind of a non-stick situation. I'm sure the butter does a little bit more than that. I can't tell you because I'm not a food scientist, but it's definitely a lot smoother than it was a few minutes ago. So we have this. You can tell it's a little bit more like a pancake in terms of like flexibility. It's a little bit less flexible. And it would work as tortilla. Now, I've never tried this for pizza, tortillas, or anything else. This is a crepe recipe, and I will treat it as such. So right now, you can see this is almost done. And this side is definitely done. This side underneath is done. I'm going to put it on the plate, and it will sit like that. If you're serving more than one person, you want to make sure that you do more than one. Ooh, what happened here? Sorry, I just found a bunch of flour. See, that's what I was talking about. You do not, unless it was the butter that got cold. Whatever it was, I can see that there's a difference in my batter, so I'm going to take a minute and try and clean this off a little bit. I think it might have been the butter. Might have been, yeah, I can see the butter has gotten really cold in here. Sorry, it's going to be a little bit of a nuisance, but this is it. This is what cooking is. Cooking is making it work however you can, unless you're a trained professional. So I am not a trained professional. I'm a mom, and I guess you could say it's a trained professional, but that'll work. That'll work. So you can see that my flame is not hot enough to burn any of the butter that's here. And this is gonna have a lot more butter added now that I'm adding this. So that goes on immediately. And then you start to move this around. You wanna make sure that you're working in a circle to make these as round as possible. And what I see right now is beautiful little puddles of butter that are melting into the crepe, and it's going to look really good. It's going to taste really good, and it's just a good recipe, like I said. So, can you bring the dog in, please? Noah, bring the dog in, please. Thank you. Sorry, we're still a household here, guys. So we might be on live, and this might get posted however it does, but we are a household. So I'm gonna let that kind of sit. It wasn't ready for me to flip. So for the record, using wood and stuff is not bad. It's not bad. So I'm gonna try and flip it. I can see it's more cooked in one spot, so I want to flip it so that you can see that. Look at that. Completely cooking beautifully, wonderfully. Try and put this together like that. Try and get these guys back together. If I can make it a whole crepe that looks like this, I'm happier. I want it to be as round as possible. Um, I can see that it's cooking really nicely. And again, your crepe will look like this at the end. It'll soften up. It'll be soft. Then you will just roll it with whatever you want. Some people will put Nutella and bananas. Some people will put Nutella. Some people will put peanut butter, caramel, all kinds of things. We just go with whipped cream. We go with whipped cream and a little bit of strawberries. Strawberries with sugar, and that's it. It's a very simple recipe. So I can see some of the flour here. I'm going to try and break that up a little bit. Again, it was kind of it's a little bit undercooked or a little bit undermixed, I think. But I want that flour to not be a bunch of flour. So I'm going to continue to cook this best I can. You want this to be cooked on all sides. Papa's not making crepes. Are you going to eat? Okay. Thank you for getting the dog. And there we go. That's it. Very simple recipe. If you have any questions, please drop them below. I feel like this is one of those recipes that goes really well with pretty much anything. So earlier I'd mentioned like doing something savory. We did that for our French excursion is what I call it, our food around the world. We did France. We studied France a little bit, and we had food from France. And food from France looks like crepes, so which was cool. We used a Swiss cheese, and then we used ham, and it was a very good savory crepe. My kids had never had a savory crepe, so that was a really nice way to see what I'm doing. Literally just stacking it on top. So that's it. This is crepes. This is crepes 101. That's funny. It's not 101. I can see I'm also making a mess on my stove, so just be aware of that you will likely make a mess, but it'll be worth it. And you'll have crepes, and everyone will love you, and then they'll say they want crepes for their birthday, and every birthday you have to make crepes for your kids. So that's about it here, guys. I think we're done. So I'm gonna pull off the live. I appreciate you. Nah, I appreciate you. I appreciate you hanging out with me this morning. It's been a nice little time. And I hope that you will join me. If you've not subscribed already, please subscribe. I appreciate all my followers, and I appreciate building community. So another tip I mentioned earlier, the reason why we use a cutting board is so that we can just clean it all at once. Yes, we'll wipe down our countertop, but we can easily put another cutting board here. I have like 7 cutting boards. So have a great day. Make sure you drink some water.